Good. Welcome to franchising, where they don't want you to know. They don't want you doing those things. They want you working on the business, not in the business. And that's why I think franchising, and again, you talk about mindset in your show constantly, right? It is a mindset. There is a mindset that said, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to make the sandwiches and I'm going to do everything. And if I don't do it, it won't get done right. Then there's a mindset that says, absolutely not. I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to hire the right people, hold them accountable, put KPIs in place, scale the business, go on a cruise, go be with my family, do what I love to do. The business will not rely on my day-to-day attention. Franchising teaches that. How to scale a business that doesn't require your day-to-day involvement, but yet start grooming the organization. Otherwise, you just bought a job. And that's what most people do. They call themselves entrepreneurs and business owners. No, you're not. You're an employee of your own little company.
Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And I'm joined by a great guest today. We had a pre-talk here, and it was great topics, all stuff that I know you as an audience are going to love. So I'm joined in studio today by Cliff Nonnenmacher. How are you doing, Cliff?
I'm doing great. Thank you, George. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's rare. I get a lot of interviews and things, but it's rare I find somebody that understands how the pieces all fit together. And our audience is very committed to mindset. And if you're listening to this for the first time, we do the Daily Mastermind because we want you to help get clarity, focus, and discipline around your mindset, grow your business through strategies and techniques and tactics, and to create a lifestyle that you want to create. And one of those topics that comes up and hits all three of those is franchising. So let me give you a quick intro on who Cliff is, and then we'll dig right into it. 25 years of franchising, finance, business leadership. He's got a success mindset. He's the founder of and CEO of Franocity. Former Wall Street professional turned multi-brand franchise owner. He's the author of Beyond the Brand, which is a book that you just got to check out, and host of Pursuit of Profits, the podcast. So, Cliff, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it. How are things for you?
Sure. Great. Loving it. Starting out great. 2026. It's so far, we're off to a great start, I think. I think people, like you said, people are starting to digest all this information, and people are starting to say, you know what? I deserve a better life. I need to make changes. And I think there's a lot of resources out there that are helping people make those changes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because information is overload right now. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is you kind of understand how to put all these things together. It's not just that you've got this core idea that you've been in for a while with franchising, but let's just start real quick by a real direct question. Why franchising right now? Why is this something that is important that you feel is timed right for the marketplace?
That's a great question. I think that as a general answer to that, I think franchising is the single greatest methodology ever to create wealth and to be able to scale a business, to be able to retire uncompromised, to be able to have an exit strategy, right? There's nothing like that. You don't have to create anything. You don't need to be a disruptor. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. Matter of fact, you don't even need direct industry experience. If you think about it, like I was just on the phone with a guy and he's like, look, I really want to get involved in tools, anything involving tools. Why? Well, I feel it has the furthest distance from AI disruption, but I'm a chemical engineer and I don't know anything about plumbing, electrical, HVAC. Good. Welcome to franchising, where they don't want you to know. They don't want you doing those things. They want you working on the business, not in the business. And that's why I think franchising, and again, you talk about mindset in your show constantly, right? It is a mindset. There is a mindset that said, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to make the sandwiches and I'm going to do everything. And if I don't do it, it won't get done right. Then there's a mindset that says, absolutely not. I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to hire the right people, hold them accountable, put KPIs in place, scale the business, go on a cruise, go be with my family, do what I love to do. The business will not rely on my day-to-day attention. Franchising teaches that. How to scale a business that doesn't require your day-to-day involvement, but yet start grooming the organization. Otherwise, you just bought a job. And that's what most people do. They call themselves entrepreneurs and business owners. No, you're not. You're an employee of your own little company. That's going nowhere, by the way, because you can't scale it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think that, listen, if you're listening to this and you maybe think you have an idea of what franchising is, I encourage you to just set that aside for a minute. I wanted to really dissect this a bit. And so, Cliff, it'd be interesting for the people here, because we'll get into franchising and what it is, what works, and how to optimize. But there's a reason you chose this, and going from a Wall Street kind of finance background and I like how, you think, and I think how successful people think is important. What made you decide to go from this Wall Street kind of corporate kind of thinking into franchising outside of the typical, I want to be an entrepreneur? Why did you go that direction?
Great question. And a lot of people ask me that, like, it's like they're not correlated at all, right? I started out at age 8 raking golf balls out of ponds and selling them at the entrances of country clubs in egg crates. Rake them in the night, hide from the rangers on the golf course, clean them up, put them in egg cartons and egg crates, and sell them. I created Uber Eats in 1990. Think about that. I was delivering 300 deliveries a day on Marco Island, Florida, which was basically an Uber Eats. The technology we used were pagers. So all of my restaurants had a number. So if you entered on a pager 011, right, 15, it meant McDonald's, be here in 15 minutes. I did 100 deliveries a day just for McDonald's. So I believe we're the first subcontractor in America. So my entrepreneurial roots go back. I've always been entrepreneurial, but I also became a victim of the grass is greener. So I was making money at a young age. I had a satellite system. I started trading. I traded equities mainly, just longs and shorts, and no derivatives or anything. And I was good at it. I liked it. So I took my portfolio to Wall Street, got job offers by all major firms, ended up taking a position with Smith Barney. I felt like I was in this corporation. I really wasn't independent anymore. I wasn't entrepreneurial anymore. And I ended up finding a brand in Australia that reverse engineered printer consumables. And we ended up buying the rights. It's called master franchise rights. So we bought the rights to the company for the entire state of New York and Connecticut. My transition was very easy. That's my idea. I'm going back out on my own, and bought the rights with business partners. And we ended up scaling 36 units in the state of New York and Connecticut, sold it, moved to Florida, and then just got back into it. My introduction to franchising was that brand, Cartridge World. They figured out how to reverse engineer not only the secret handshake on chips, on the cartridges, they figured out and reverse engineered the anticoagulation agents, the anti-corrosive agents, the cyan, magenta, yellow, black. They figured out how to replicate those inks so that when you came in and bought a cartridge from us, you got the same yield, the same print quality for half the price. So it was a 50% discount over OEM, original equipment manufacturer. That was my introduction.
What's interesting is a lot of people have that entrepreneurial spirit. They want to be able to get out and do something. And one of the things they lack is they get out there and then they have no clue what they're doing. In addition, they don't have a replicatable system or product or things like this. And so that is the thing that's always fascinated me about franchising, is it allows you to go be entrepreneurial, but have a lot of the stuff figured out that you don't know, you don't understand, you don't want to do. But it also makes it really mutually exclusive, that you don't have to understand that industry if the system's all set up. So franchising has given the opportunity for a lot of people, but sometimes I think, and I've known people with franchises that fall right into a job if they don't have the right fit, or they don't have the right focus, or they don't know what they're doing even still. So you could have this entrepreneurial spirit, you want to diversify in things that you don't. Is that what led you to start, or for you to really get focused on Franocity? And tell me what Franocity is and what the goal is for individuals that you work with.
Yes. Franocity is a franchise consulting company that helps investors identify brands that they should be investigating or acquiring. So we represent 600 brands. We work for the investor for free. Nobody believes free anymore. It's so abused. We actually represent the buyer for free. We're paid by the seller, which is the franchisor. So if I introduced a client to a dog daycare franchise and they bought it, we're compensated by the dog daycare franchise, not the buyer. So we're 100% free as a service.
But with 600, you're not specifically trying to have people get into a certain franchise. You're trying to find the best fit, right?
And that's why we continue to broaden the brands that we represent so that we're never conflicted. That's what ruins everything if you think about it. It's always conflict. The doctor, how did that relationship get ruined? They're conflicted. Like, everyone's always conflicted. How does Wall Street get screwed? How do politics? It's always they're conflicted. No one could ever really do the right thing, right? So that's like the best line I ever got from a mentor was like, love like you've never been hurt, dance like nobody's watching, and work like you don't need the money. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Just do the right thing. It's quite liberating, and you will make an ungodly amount of money if you actually do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Stop
interesting.
being
The simplest
conflicted.
principles make a big difference. Well, you talk about this fit first franchising idea. And what do you mean by that? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so look, we are looking for fit. Like we're looking for the investor to fit the culture of the brand, or at least the fit with your risk tolerance, right? The fit with your background, your skill sets, right? 1 minute I'm talking to an engineer whose hands are sweating at the thought of speaking to people, and the next minute I'm talking to an ex-farmer rep, with a book of business that was several million. I'm a rainmaker. You know what I mean? He operationally sucks, but he's great at selling stuff. He's great at selling and making it rain, but he's not good at the delivery piece. So we're trying to find that fit. It's okay. You need a salesperson engineer, for 6 figures, and you need a really strong operations person on the sales side. So we're looking for that fit. I also subscribe. I've always tried to figure out like what would make someone really good as a client and a good fit for a brand. And I have figured out that Jack Welch's advice, by the way, number one question asked of him at a seminar is raising your hand. Yes. How do you hire people? And he came up with the 4E, 1P principle that I have adopted for the remainder of my career. And I stand by it. It's brilliant. The 4E, 1P principle is simple. Does the investor or employee have energy? Energy is contagious. You have to be energized, right? So does the person have energy? Yes, they have energy. Okay, great. But can they energize their staff? Can they energize others? Just because you're high energy doesn't mean anyone's going to follow you.
Yeah.
Can you energize your team? Yes. All right, check that box. Do they have edge? Can they make edgy decisions like you're fired or a coaching moment or sit down and need to speak to you? You're not hitting your number. You have to be a little bit of edgy. E, for execution, can they execute? That's franchising. Franchising is all about we have a proven model, but can you execute flawlessly?
Yeah.
It's no. I love to meddle and change things, and I have a defiant personality, and I love to go against the grain. Okay, you're not a fit. You're not a fit. You can have all those things, and you lost it at execution. And P is passion. I love passionate people. Like you're a passionate guy. Like you have your thing that you believe in and to your core, and you can't tell enough people about it, right? That just resonates with me, passionate people. So I'm looking for clients that resemble, and I'm not saying that a C-suite resemblance, just do you resemble the 4E1P principle? If you have that, you will probably become a very successful whatever, employee, leader, franchisee, or just an independent small business owner. But you have to have it.
I love that. I think that's great advice. I love the idea, especially coming from a very successful person, how they think, right? Energy, edge, execution, passion. That is the recipe for success in probably most business aspects. And the idea here when we're talking about franchising is that people can, when you find the right fit, I love Franocity's focus of being able to represent the buyer and be compensated somewhere else. A lot of times people don't know what's happening, so now they can answer that question. But I'm curious because franchising, at least for most people, might seem like it's a pretty overwhelming, full-time focus, right? So I've heard from a lot of different people, and before I back you up into kind of like how to find right franchises and things like this, what is the reason the typical entrepreneur, a lot of Daily Mastermind listeners run businesses already, but they're looking to expand their wealth and things. What is the reason they should consider a franchise as either an investment? Because a lot of people think, I'm going to go run a franchise full-time and it's a full-time job. How would you recommend they view franchising? Because maybe there's a fit, but maybe people aren't even understanding the opportunity that's available because they already have something they're working on.
That's right. Yeah, deal with it every day. So when I'm working with someone that's already doing that, it's like, what's the investment objective? Is it a diversification play? Are we trying to bolt something onto what you do? It's, hey, I'm a realtor. I've got an office. I got 5 people in my office. Great. What are you trying to do? We could do home inspection. We could do drywall repair. We could do junk removal. Think about what you could do if you're a realtor. There's a lot of spokes on that hub. If you're going to get in the pool business, are you going to get in the residential property management business? You could get in the roofing business. Think about every home inspection report in America, just that one profession, right? So there's so many things. If you're already doing something, and I don't care what it is, we could diversify. We could do something correlated, something uncorrelated. We could do a bolt-on. Or you could say, you know what? I'm tired of inventing new ideas. I'm tired of figuring out what marketing campaign I'm going to do, how to price my product, how to do this. I want to just divest myself of what I'm doing and go all in on franchising. That's what I did. I was an independent business owner my whole life. And I just said, okay, I'm done. I'm going all in with franchising. So you could do whatever you want. You could have a full-time career. You could make an investment on the side. You can manage your manager, right? So I don't believe, the only thing I will say on the show is I don't believe in a fully passive investment in almost anything.
Right.
And other than the S&P 500, and you're going to buy some ETFs, and even then you need to watch it, at least be involved in it. There's sector rotation. There's all sorts of issues with investments.
Well, but at the same token, some of the most difficult parts of business are already packaged up in franchise,
Totally.
right? When you talk about operational pieces, when you talk about marketing, when you talk about those things, then it really just boils down to some key execution. So as you're looking at, and you're finding the right fit, and it doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're looking to diversify or create a focus or whatever with franchising, what are the things that you look for in due diligence from your experience, the metrics you would look for, the due diligence that you would do in order to understand the investment in a franchise, or that you would insist a prospect would use before making an investment in a franchise?
Yeah, good question. One, I because I'm a former investment banker, I love asymmetrical investments. So I start there. So asymmetrical to me is low investment, high margin, very short ramp to break even, de-skilled labor. I say de-skilled because we're entering an era where skills will be de-skilled, not unskilled. Right? Everyone's getting replaced by humanoids, whether they like it or not. It's happening. Like, that's happening. So I want to be in a business. Let's just say I buy a junk removal business, right? And I have to hire 5 guys, 5 men to lift heavy things to put in the back of the truck to haul away. In the next probably 48 to 60 months, I will not have 5 men on my team. I probably have 1 guy, 2 guys, and multiple humanoids that could lift probably 8 times their body weight. You know what I mean? That's just where we're headed. So I just became the disruptor, but a minute ago, my employees became the disrupted. I want to be the disruptor. So I'm looking for businesses that resemble disruptor, disrupted, asymmetrical. I won't get out of bed for less than 20% net to the bottom line. So if the business can't achieve that, I have no interest. And that's why I have no interest in food. Food doesn't really make any money. It's a passion play. It doesn't make any money. No one has ever come to me and said, I want to start this food concept because we're going to make a killing. It's just, it reminds me of my mom, it reminds me of my grandma, it reminds me of my dad. It's always these good feelings and platitudes and kittens, whiskers, and unicorns and all happy horse shit that really doesn't make any money. And I'm just not interested in that. At the end of the day, I am a capitalist and I want to be in things that make money. But I also won't be in a business that has a razor-thin margin because now there's no room for error. A slight downtick economically, like you just went from an 8% margin to 4%, I don't even know how you survive that.
Right.
I really don't. I don't know how you get through that. And I think that hard times, what does Warren Buffett always says? Like, you see who's naked when the tide goes out.
For sure.
Right? When the economy shifts, you start to see the marginal businesses that were barely on life support. So just recapping, asymmetrical, low investment to me is under 200 all in. That's my definition of a low investment. Okay. Under 200,000 all in. High margin is 20% or greater. When I say de-skilled labor, I'm not necessarily saying minimum wage, but I'm close to that. I'm talking about people that really don't need degree or certification to perform the product or service. And I'm okay with businesses that do. I'm just saying this is my first pass. I'm looking for a short ramp to break even. A short ramp to me is less than 6 months. And I'm like in 3. Like 3 to 6 months is a short ramp to break even because I'm a non-brick and mortar brand. I have no landlord, no construction, have a very low monthly burn rate. So my days to first dollar are fast. My break even and my ramp is short on that break even. I like recession resilience. I don't like businesses that are born during the best of times. And I think people make this mistake repeatedly. It's like the people just don't know how to create wealth, even though the answers to the tests are there. Do not get involved in businesses that are born in the best of times because they've never proven their ability to be resilient through economic cycles like recessions, COVID, and housing crisis. So when I look at a business, it's like, did that business weather 2008, 9, 10, and 11? Oh, yeah, it did. It came out the other side clean. Check that box. Did it get through COVID? Oh, yeah, absolutely it went through COVID. It was non-brick and mortar home services. As a matter of fact, it thrived during COVID. That's what I'm looking for. Now we have that bottom-up or top-down approach. I now found what I'm looking for as attributes of the business. Now let's go find franchises that resemble those attributes. And we'll do our due diligence on the executive team, the unit economics, a P&L review. But here's my most valuable tool in closing the loop on due diligence is stop talking to the executive team, stop talking to the franchise salespeople, and start random dialing the franchise community. And I will get the best information from them because remember the conflict statement?
Yeah.
They're the only people in this entire process that do not financially gain from the transaction happening. I gain, the franchise salesman gains, the entire executive team gains, but that franchisee in Phoenix, he could care less if you join the franchise or not, and you will get real feedback from that franchisee.
Yeah, definitely going to get real feedback. Well, I love those metrics. I love the idea of just coming through those, and I think that anybody in a lot of businesses, those are great metrics to look for. And what's interesting is I think sometimes people also look from the other lens, and that is, first of all, risk is unavoidable in entrepreneurship, period. I know that, right? Most people know that. But how do you teach franchise buyers to manage downside risk while still moving forward decisively and not getting stuck in analyzing all those metrics and things? What do you tell them to do in order to move them forward and still mitigate their downside risk?
Right, yeah. We have a 6-step process, and processes are created simply just to move people through something, right? If you're on an airplane and the engine's failed, there's only 2 people on there that have a cool head. It's the pilot and the co-pilot. Why?
Yeah.
Training, process. That's it. It's the only reason why they're calm. It's been here before. We simulated it. Now let's go through the checklist. Do we have control of this aircraft or not? So we're just walking people through a 6-step process that gets them to close the loop on due diligence and get to a yes or a no. How we manage risk is to understand their life, their income, their global world, we'll call it. Do you have a spouse? Do you have a dual income? What type of cash do you have? What's your liquidity? What's your net worth? The net worth is $350, and they're looking at a business for $250. I'm going to tell them a hard no.
Not
on
working.
That.
Yeah.
No. If the business failed, it can't change your life where we will never recover from this. It's like, wait a minute. If you lost $100,000, you'll never recover from that, then you can't do this.
It's interesting you say that about process, though, because I hadn't heard it that way before, and I think you're dead on with that. Processes are designed, and obviously you've created a process over a long period of time, but processes are designed to move you through that decision-making process with a proven track record and time-tested strategies for doing that. But by doing that, you are mitigating your downside risk, and you're also making decisions and moving forward. Because I think it's interesting. I was talking with one of our clients this morning. He's, look, I'm just trying to get some clarity on things. I said, listen, execution brings clarity, not the other way around. You don't get clarity and then execute. Execution brings clarity. Right. So having that process pushes you through. What motivated you to write the book? And is your book something that covers this process? When we talk about the idea that Beyond the Brand, by the way, is his book. Tell me about the book and why you put that together. Was it to educate and give the framework of what you guys are doing at Franocity?
Yeah, definitely. You asked a question moments ago that I answered half of it. You asked me, why did you create Franocity? And the answer to that question is that in the very early days with my business partner, Justin, and I, we had no money in the early days, right? So we were looking for blood in the street. And as Warren Buffett says, if you're not going to kick someone when they're down, when do you kick them?
Yeah,
I love that. I know it seems crude. I know it seems crude, but I don't know. There's something about that quote. It's like, if you're not going to kick someone when they're down, when do you kick them? I actually found that we didn't have to do any kicking at all. We actually came in as a savior, and I'll tell you why we came in as a savior. If you have a failing small business owner, in this case, there were gyms. Our focus was gyms because my business partner had degrees in fitness and kinesiology, and he was a personal trainer and all this stuff. So we focused on the gym as a vertical, and we were looking for failure, downright failure. And what we found is that commercial landlords, when you're failing, will turn a gun turret on you and your entire family because they have something that no one truly understands, and it's called a personal guarantee.
Right.
And people sign it because they're excited. They sign that 10-year lease with a 10-year straight PG. People do not know, and that's all in my book, by the way, lease negotiation, okay? Protecting
You're on the hook
family.
for the amount.
You are personally on the hook. You could close the business. You could file for bankruptcy, but that's the only really way out of it is personal bankruptcy. And that's not a good option.
Right.
So we started taking over failing gyms, and in many cases, we would pay $25,000, $50,000 for these gyms, immediately execute, turn them around, have them kicking off six-figure net income, and sell them for a 2.5 to 3.5 multiple, and do this over and over again. In some cases, the gyms were given to us. I want to go back to Warren Buffett. If you're not going to kick them when they're down, when you kick them, we didn't need to kick anyone at all, because we would tell the seller, if you close this business, the landlord's coming after you for $150,000, $200,000 in rent. But if you stay on board, keep your PG and lease intact, let us run the business, we will create liquidity for you. We'll create an exit for you. And that's exactly what we did. We came in and people were like, man, I'm so glad you're here. We had some people actually give us the business or pay us $25,000 to take over the business. And the reason they would pay us is they'd say, just keep my first month's, last month's security deposit with the landlord. Just take it. Get me off this lease. So that was our strategy. And now I want to close the loop on the question. So now you understand where we came from.
Yeah.
Why Franocity? Because every single person we were buying failing businesses from had no business being in that industry. How did you get in this business that I'm paying you 5 to 10 cents on the dollar for? And the answers were ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were, my neighbor's friend's cousin did it. We really like this. Like, you like the taste of the sandwich, therefore you bought the sandwich business. Like,
Yeah.
that
No
doesn't
process
even
to
make any
choose.
sense.
They just made
Thank you.
decisions out of nothing. Yep.
Zero discipline. And I mean zero discipline.
Yeah.
And it cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. We were taking over $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 businesses for 25 to 50 grand. And that is why my business partner would sit at the closing table, husband and wife, and be like, man, how did you get involved in this? You don't even belong here.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
how we got into this business.
That's interesting, because I think if you're listening to this episode, you're realizing most of the themes that I talk about is how someone thinks. It's not about so much the strategies and things, but there's a reason this evolved, the reason that Cliff's passionate about this, and why he created the company that is now so successful. And it also ties to your book as well, because your book, Beyond the Brand, reframes franchising as a wealth vehicle, but it helps people to understand, at least from my perspective, I want you to validate this for me, unless I'm off the reservation. It really helps people to shift their mind from being an employee to thinking like an owner, from vehicles being an income to a wealth creation type of a play. Am I following that right on the book?
Totally. The book touches on a multitude of areas, which starts with, where do I begin? So it addresses, where do I begin? You begin with a coach. You begin with a trusted advisor. You begin with a process. Great. Next. It addresses fear.
And by the way, that's why everything I do with a lot of my clients is strategy first. Because if you don't know what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, you could go down any path and be where you end up. So that makes total sense.
Totally. Yep. Totally. There's a whole story in there about the ticket to Springfield. Guy runs into a train station, says, give me a ticket to Springfield. The train station is like, Springfield. You want to go to Missouri, Montana? You want to go to Wyoming? You want to go to Indiana? You know how many Springfields are in America? Guy goes, just give me the cheapest ticket to Springfield. The guy goes, that would be the most expensive ticket to Springfield if it's not your final destination. Yeah. Like, where do you want to end up?
Right.
Like, you have
That's
to have a
great.
plan. Right. It's like, it was an old Wall Street statement about, I just want to retire. I just need this. It's like, do you realize you need a plan to get there? You can't just like will it.
Yeah.
It's true. And so the book does start with process, right? Stop with brands. Stop telling me Pizza Hut and food. Stop talking about brands and start talking about you. What do you want? What's your risk tolerance? What phase of life are you in? Like you were saying, how many children that you have, right? There's some people that have one, right? There's some people that have none. There's some people coming to us that are like, I'm only 25, I'm 30, but I know one thing. I want nothing to do with corporate America. Like, I want out of this.
It's interesting. It speaks to one of my mentors early on. He used to say, because everyone used to say, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What kind of business you want to have? He used to always say, what do you want your life to be like? So, begin with the end in mind. And if your goal, and most of our goals is to have a lifestyle and wealth and create prosperity, it's not, I want an XYZ business. I want an XYZ process, because, by the way, it might not be a fit, but also beware what you ask for, like you said. So anyway, keep going.
They always do that. They start with brands, and we have to tell them, stop with the brands and start introspective. What do you want? What's your blue sky perfect world look like? Oh, now that you asked that question, I want to work 30 hours a week. I don't want the business to rely on me. I want to start traveling. I'm 50 years old. My wife and I need to reconnect. Like, we're empty nesters now. It's okay. That's a very specific, granular phase of life that you're in, we need to find brands that could achieve those goals. Then you have some people come to us like, look, I need to make 400 grand a year, 500 grand a year. Some come to us like, look, I just want to make 6 figures. I'd be very happy. I don't need to be rich. I don't need to create a legacy for my children. I'll do that through life insurance. I don't need to do that through breaking my ass and at working. So all these different things. So the book touches on that. It touches on how to fund it, how to be tax efficient in your funding. A lot of people don't know this, but you could use a retirement plan to buy a business, 0 federal, 0 state, and 0 oil withdrawal penalties. So we create liquidity out of illiquid investments. It talks about
you're
what's
getting into
trending.
strategies now that only the ultra high net worth really understand. And those are big principles. These are things that when you're doing things and how you're doing things and the structure you use is very important.
That's right.
There's so much stuff we could talk about on that. It's crazy. And I wish we had more time. I actually have a couple other things, though, I want to hit you with before we take off, if that's okay. One is, and I always like to speak to what's on everyone's mind, AI and automation are reshaping business and business models very fast. What type of franchises do you believe are the most resistant to like disruption, and why should entrepreneurs be paying attention to that type of stuff right now?
Yeah, look, I love the question, and no one really knows. But if you listen to the people who are the innovators, and I'll just use Elon, who I think is really the tip of the spear right now for humanoids. So he's got XAI, so we have the AI model. We have Grok now, and we have Tesla, and we have humanoids being made. I think the furthest distance from AI disruption and humanoid disruption is going to be any business requiring the use of tools. Anything that's anti kind of Amazon, feet on the street, all the trades. So think about this. What have we crapped on for the last 20 years? It would be trade school. The answer to this test going forward is anything trade school related, that's going to be, the whole script's getting flipped. That's where the money's going to be. Your neighbor lawyer making 200 grand a year will be unemployed. Your other neighbor on the other side who was in the top 4 accounting firms, we don't need him anymore because AI is more brilliant and knows the tax code better than your neighbor who's in accounting. Unless you're a trial attorney, I don't know why I need you because you don't stand in the courtroom. So if you're just a desk attorney pushing paper, doing evictions, don't need you anymore.
Legal, medical,
think about this.
Financial, all that stuff. Yeah.
George, Elon just said last week, he said going to medical school now is pointless, quote, and pointless. He basically said in the next 48 months to 60 months, his bots will be able to replace the best doctors on the planet and the best surgeons. Hand dexterity. This has been the missing component with AI. It's like, oh yeah, they don't have the hand dexterity. They can't do what I do. They're going to get there. So the answer to your question is anything involving the use of tools, anything involving pets and animals, anything involving anti-aging, biohacking, the peptides, the NACs, the testosterone therapy, or red light, contrast therapy, all that stuff. Super powerful.
And growing dramatically, I've noticed for sure. Wow.
Oh, definitely.
So let me ask you this. One of my final questions. Let's say you're an entrepreneur, business owner. I don't know. You might even be in corporate America right now. We have a pretty diverse audience, but you're feeling a little burned out, stuck, uncertain as to what you want to do. What's the first kind of strategic step they should take if they wanted to evaluate whether franchising is a path to freedom or just another shiny object for them?
That's great. I like the way you teed that up because I tell every client that I'm working with, you are not buying a franchise. It just disarms them. They're like, wait a minute. I thought if I called you and I engaged with you, you're going to go into sales mode. You're going to want to sell me something. Absolutely not. Most people do not have the intestinal fortitude, right, to do anything like that. I have no expectation of anyone listening or anyone working with my firm to buy anything. What I want you to do is to go through a 2-3 month due diligence cycle and feel it. Like really feel it. It gets real very quickly when you start talking to people and you're going through the process and you're doing your P&L review and the day in a life review. Reach out to us. Schedule a 15-minute call. Obviously, listen to the episode. Do you resemble the 4E1P principle? Can you run a company? Do you have the ability? Do you believe in yourself? If you're checking those boxes, reach out to us at Franocity.com. It's FRANOCITY.com. Schedule a call with me. We'll do 15 minutes, quick, just kind of level set. And if you want to proceed, great. There's no selling. No one will ask you to buy, sign, or commit to anything. If you're going to work with us, you're literally engaging in a 2-3 month due diligence cycle, and you will be investigating probably 3 to 5 different brands that fit your investment objectives. That's what we do. Exit anytime you want.
Yeah.
Just tell us, close my file. I'm going in a different direction.
Yeah, I think it's great
simple.
advice. Well, first of all, you got a great process for this. And the reason I'm even doubling down on this is because I think a lot of people are looking for some answers, but what they're doing is they're listening to group census, or they're just trying to pick something. They're trying to pick a path where they would be much better off evaluating where they're at, what they want to do, what they want their life to be like, what risk reward kind of a scenario they have, and spend a little bit of time, guys. Listen, measure twice, cut once. You may as well really find a good fit for what you want to do, because I think one of the challenges today is people are just taking, now I'm big on moving quick and money loves speed and all those types of things, but you've got to be real strategic in your thinking. And I think that's why this whole point and topic I wanted to bring up. So I appreciate your thoughts on this. I really do think you've got a great background on the topic, as well as the way you think and how you think. And so is there anything else you'd like to kind of leave our audience as far as strategy, advice, recommendations for someone that might be either in the industry in general? I'll let you go wherever you want with it. Any last feedback you'd like to give?
I think a lot of people, I love listening to pods and I love consuming the content. I think there's a lot of people out there listening that are perpetual listeners, and they need to start executing and taking action. And I love what you said. Start thinking about what you want. Like, everyone's always living their life through all the guests and like listening to everyone else and doing things. Like, get in the game. Don't be a perpetual listener. Like, take action. Action could be simple. You have no risk. What's the risk of engaging with a firm like ours and exploring some franchise concepts that might make you retire early, create a legacy for your children and grandchildren, right? Create maybe generational wealth, or just wealth for yourself, or allow you to travel the world and do what you want to do. A lot of people don't realize that the world as we know it is going to change in the next 5 years. It's going to change in a way that no one is expecting. I think people need to really start to think about their life, and especially if you're 40 and 50 years old, you need to start to think about what is your plan. Things are going to change rapidly, and you need to position yourself properly.
Yeah, and I think when you surround yourself with the right people, it helps not only your belief transference, but it gives you some direction and some peace. And so I agree. It's been a great discussion, Cliff. I appreciate you being here. And if you're listening to this episode, make sure you do me a favor. Hit me up at the Daily Mastermind. Let me know what you're working on, what you're struggling with. If you have questions, I'll put some things in the show notes here. But like I always say, I'm gonna say it again to you. It's never too late to start creating the life that you were meant to live. It's closer than you think, and it's easier than you think, at least simpler than you think. But you've got to take action, and you got to do some things. And so hopefully we've inspired and motivated you to take some action, move forward, refine what you're doing and what your plan is. And to that extent, I appreciate you being here, spending time with us. Once again, this has been the Daily Mastermind, and I'll talk with you more tomorrow. Have a great day.